Lighthouse. My name's Andy Edel. I'm the ranger and historian here at St. Mark's National Wildlife Refuge, and I get to show you around this wonderful old Florida lighthouse. This is a really remarkable place. It's the second oldest lighthouse in Florida and the second oldest lighthouse in the Gulf of Mexico. And it dates all the way back to 1842. Now before we look around this building, I'll tell you a little bit of the history here. They built this lighthouse in the they started in the 1820s, finished the first one in 1832. That's before Florida even became a state. And they needed one here for the little port of St. Mark's. We had ships coming right out off the ports here from all over the world. And they've been coming here for hundreds of years. If you look out there, you can imagine everything from Spanish galleons, French pirate ships, blockade runners, steamships, even German submarines have been right off this Florida lighthouse. So we have a remarkable history here. Now, this building was built in 1842, and like I said, predates the state of Florida. Right behind me is the tower. This is unusual for a southern lighthouse in that we have the lighthouse keeper's house attached to the tower. Normally you see that just in the New England areas, but down here they wanted to make this tower as strong as they could, so they attached the house to the tower. So when you come into this very first room, this is what we call the tower room. You have this wonderful tower coming into the room, and of course the door that leads up into the tower. Welcome to St. Mark's Lighthouse and the tower. This is the oldest part of the building. It was built in 1842. It's withstood over 100 hurricanes. Second oldest lighthouse in Florida, second oldest lighthouse in the Gulf. You're looking at the spiral staircase, the only wooden staircase now existing in a Florida lighthouse. 85 stairs, the first 72 are wooden, the last 13 are iron ship stairs. Today you get an idea what it's like to be in the tower during a storm. Most lighthouse keepers like to keep the tower as clean as they could, so they would be asking you to take your shoes off and wear white gloves to come in right at this point. Well, we've got 85 stairs to go, so let's get started. Do ask for safety's sake that you hold on to the rail as we go up. This is the watch room, or directly below the lantern room. This is the highest room, this is also the safest. In the 1870s, we had a family of 12 stuck in here tighter than we are today, and they survived a storm that battered and shook the tower all night long. These are the last stairs. These are 13 iron ship stairs. We know for a fact they've been here over 100 years. And it leads right up to the tower room, lantern room. The job of the lighthouse keeper, of course, was to keep the light running, and twice a day you have to take kerosene up there and trim the wick and make sure the light was running. It was very, very important, and his number one job was to make sure that light didn't go out. The light could never go out, because if it did, they might lose a ship at sea and lose hundreds of lives. So it's very, very important to keep the light running. The lighthouse has 4 rooms, and it runs north to south. We're in the south room, and I'm going to take you through all the other rooms. The first family, like I said, lived here in the 40s. We had different families live here. There was a Civil War activity right here. In fact, during the Civil War, they had lookouts in the tower. There was a gun battle here. They blew off the top of the tower. Later on, they rebuilt the tower, and they built it as strong as they could. By the early 1900s, a family named Fine moved in, and the Fines and then their daughter, Vera Fine, She lived here most of her life. She got married to a guy named Grisham, and Grisham took over from her father, Mr. Fine, and he was, the Grishams were here until the 1950s. So Vera Fine was born here, grew up here, was married here, and lived most of her life here. So we have a lot of information from the Grishams. And we're going to go through, I'm going to tell you about how this lighthouse looked roughly around 1900. Now this outfit I'm wearing is what a lighthouse keeper would wear, and they were part of what was called the Lighthouse Service. Later the Lighthouse Service, the Life Saving Service, and the revenue cutters all joined to form what we call the Coast Guard, and that was in the 30s. This is a outfit that the Coast Guard keeper wore. The K is for keeper. Sometimes they would have a first assistant who had number 1 or second assistant and so forth. And you can see on the uniform that they want to make sure people knew this was a person that worked for the lighthouse. It has lighthouse on the buttons, up on the hat, even on the cuffs. The lighthouse keeper also, if he did a really good job, would get a star, just like you might get a star on your homework. He got a star. For 5 years he had perfect reports, he could get a star. Also, they gave him badges. We have badges today. The lighthouse keeper had a badge as well. And there's the badge.